And I don't have an agenda. Okay, we have approved the agenda. Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Yep, I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, our first one is, operation for the Warren County Schools, right?
So, just like we talked about just a few minutes ago, we're on spring break this week. When we come back, we have, I believe it's 42 school days left in this school year, which is hard to believe, but nevertheless, it is going to be here before we know it. So, had a, when you have snow on the first day of spring break, you always get asked the questions, well, how many weather days do you have left? And so we'll report that we have 4 inclement weather days, or what we call stockpile days. Stockpile days are obviously the ones that we build up over the course of the school year. So unfortunately, we're not using any of those this week, but nevertheless, we're on the home stretch. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I brought to everybody's attention is when we come back from spring break, we'll have 2 weeks before we start state testing. State testing obviously is one of the important times of the year for students to show what they've learned throughout the year. So that'll begin the first week of April with the writing portions of the tests. That's the portions that take longer to get graded. So all the students that are doing ELA writing will do that the first week of April. There will be a little bit of a break after that, and then the next week we'll start the multiple choice, just regular portions. Of course, those take place in 4 different areas: ELA, math, science, and social studies. And so that will take at least 2 weeks. And of course of April, we'll finish out April with the last week being makeup tests. And then that'll lead us into May, where we have lots of activities that go on in May, but it's a wrap up of the year and lots of various activities that will take place going there. Spring sports, spring trips, prom, all the things that a lot of kids look forward to, or what's coming up over the course of the next 40 days. And so lots of excitement around that. And really for us administratively, we've begun the budgeting process, which will be something that we spend the next month or so really trying to fine tune and try to bring before the school board, and hopefully in the May meeting. And then that will hopefully come before this committee and then financial management as well in May, potentially June, just depending upon exactly what that looks like. In the governor's budget, he has proposed an increase to the base amount in the TISA funding formula to $7,350, which is up from $7,250 this year. Again, his goal in proposing that increase is to continue to see the teacher salaries and employee salaries being increased. And so we do not know if that's going to pass. I'm being told that it is an election year for the General Assembly, so they're hoping to try to adjourn and get out on the campaign trail as quickly as they can. So we are being told that potentially even at the end of this month in March that they might adjourn, but that's like predicting the snow that came today. So we won't know whether that will be the case, whether that increase will pass. If it does, obviously that will increase the base for every student. But as you all know, I've reported in this committee, our ADM is down this year. Between 75 and 100 students, that ebbs and flows, but also understand that with that comes the law that was passed last year that would give a basement of the amount of funding, so it will not be any less than what we were funded at last year. Even with the ADM going down, that was a part of the law that went through. So we anticipate that being right around the same, maybe a little bit more if the 7350 increases. So we'll wait on the governor's budget, or really the state budget, before we actually know exactly what that looks like. So other than that, just going to continue to do what we've been doing, and had a good school year. Want to say, as I wrap up this portion, just how much I appreciate our community, our county, and their support last week, and the tragedy in our community. It wasn't just in our schools, it was in our community. But obviously we're losing a third grade student at Hickory Creek, and the tragedy went around that. I was very, very proud of our county, the way they rallied around that family, and just asked that obviously we know to keep them in our prayers going forward. So appreciate everybody's support in that. Happy to answer any questions around any of those. Gave you a 5-minute spill on a lot of information.
Did you say anything about the bids for the cafeteria?
Yeah, so I did not bring that up, but I got an email on Friday from Alan Hill that is going to send those out for bid. And so happy to finally get to the place to where that's going to go out for bid and start to be advertised. So we'll hold our breath on the cost of that when that comes back. We did also get we opened bids on the bleacher replacement at the high school gym, and that will actually come before, I believe, financial management here in the next few minutes. And then the west project, the gym project as well, is actually going to go out to bid. It's being advertised for bid. So
Were the bleacher bids within your scope of budget?
they were the lowest bid, which is the one that will be recommended tonight, is $596, $852.35. And so we were anticipating almost $500,000 there. It's obviously at the top end of that, but the other bid that will be open, or that was opened, was $1 million. So
Yeah.
it's quite a bit of difference there. So and then there were actually 3 bids. One was not opened because of an error. So that is actually not gone before the school board, but I'd like to have that sitting there with the approval of financial management for the school board to consider in a week from Thursday.
Okay, that's good.
Starting some progress. It's been slow, but starting to make some progress on that.
So are we on number 4 now with the strategic planning highlights?
We can be, whatever you all
Have
want
any
to
other
do.
questions or any comments they want to make here? If not, okay, then we'll move to that. And of course, he'll introduce what happens with this when the school system comes up with these strategic plans. And I just really wanted him to share with us what the highlights are.
Yep. So strategic plan is something that's really, in essence, to try to help guide our decisions and what we're trying to make over the course of the last 5 to 10 years. We've been operating under one that was established with previous board, previous director, and so this board, the school board, wanted to work on updating that. And so we just simply have established some new language that we are adopting. Many of you probably heard me talk about our vision statement, which is engage every mind, grow every learner, empower every future. That's simply something that goes along with our mission statement, which our mission statement, I'll read to you, is that the mission of Warren County Schools is to engage students through excellent academic and extracurricular opportunities in partnership with families and the community to grow their potential and empower them to thrive in life after graduation. So that's really, the language says what it is. We exist to make sure that we're engaging students through excellent opportunities. That, to me, academics, extracurricular, day-to-day life through school is what we want to be excellent in and engage our students in. And so that's what we want to work toward, in partnership with families in the community. It can't be done on our own. It's got to be done in partnership with families in the community. And just as I talked about just a minute ago, it's never more evident with our community and the support that we have with our schools, and we want to work with the community and family, because ultimately we want to see students grow when they come to us, and achieve and be ready for whatever happens in life after graduation. We've moved away long ago from the mindset that everybody has to go to college to be successful. Life is different for everybody and every family and every kid. They have different aspirations, and so it's our job to make sure that we prepare them. Now, once we get them to graduation, it's up to them to decide whatever they want to do from there. But we need to make sure we're empowering those students to be ready for whatever they want to do. I've said this many times. We want to expose kids to different avenues or different areas that they are interested in, because I will say, just as much as anything, the day that a potential student that thinks they want to go into health sciences is exposed to something in health sciences that makes them think, you know what, I don't really like that, is just as successful as the day we expose them to something that they do want to be involved in. Because if they don't want to be involved in health science, we don't want them to wait until they get out of school to decide that, because that could be too late at that point. So we want to be able to expose them that. So that's the mission that leads us into 4 different areas that we want to talk about, which hopefully will guide anything that we do. And those 4 areas start with focused educational opportunities and outcomes. And so when I use the term focused educational opportunities, it means that we want to make sure that we refine what we do to make sure that we enhance educational opportunities and outcomes for all students. I've been very clear in the time that I've been here that we want to continue to improve our educational outcomes, our opportunities, whether that's what we're exposing them to, whether that's how we are performing on state tests, or how we're performing in anything that we do. Extracurricular activities, we want to be able to provide for them the best opportunity for success, because we believe that's how kids can have success. They learn from everything they do in order to make sure that once if they participate in extracurricular activities, we want it to be the best outcome that they can have. Now, that may not be wins and losses. That may be opportunities where they learn how to be productive citizens once they leave us, because it's my belief when you're on a team or in a club or whatever that you're doing, you're having the opportunity to do that. Same thing with state tests. We want you to perform as well as you can perform. We want you to be prepared. And so those are all things that we focus on heavily. We spend a lot of time talking about that. And so making sure that we're providing the right educational opportunities for Warren County. We don't want to turn around and try to offer educational opportunities that are going to be fit for West Tennessee or East Tennessee. They need to be fit for bringing students or keeping students in our community and make sure they're prepared to be successful, to make sure Warren County has success in the future. So that's really and truly what we want to make sure lives in that bucket. The second bucket is to make sure that we're enhancing student and staff well-being through safe and supportive and engaging school environments. That's really a long-winded answer just to say we want to make sure students feel engaged and safe at school. I say this frequently, that I wish we didn't have to spend so much time on safety. We didn't have to do that years ago, but that's the world we live in now. And so we spent a lot of time talking about that. If you were paying attention a couple of weeks ago, we did a live drill in conjunction with the Warren County Sheriff's Department, to where we did a lockdown drill, or actually have an intruder drill at Dibble Elementary. And so Sheriff Matheny and his staff were there to take a look to make sure and see how his deputies responded to and then how the school system responded. So we put a T-shirt on one of our maintenance men that said intruder, big neon T-shirt, and had him prowling around the grounds, and he got in the building. Of course, he had a key, so he could get in the building. But one of the teachers saw him, immediately called an intruder in the building, and so they went into a lockdown. And so it was a live drill. So everybody responded. 911 was called. Deputies responded. Everybody stayed in lockdown. We sent out messages to the community, to the parents, to all those involved. All the other schools actually locked down, which would be the case if we had an intruder drill. And so we learned a lot of lessons that way. The sheriff's department came in, they cleared the building just as they would. The intruder was apprehended. And so now here's the deal. We get that it's not going to work just like that. They're not going to have a neon shirt on that says intruder when they're coming in the building, but we have to make sure we practice that so that in case it were to ever be the case, people know exactly how to respond to that. That took a couple of hours of our day, and one of those things that I wish we didn't have to do, but in order to make sure that we understand that everybody's prepared in that situation. It's not always going to be clean like that, but that's what we try to do. We've done that a couple of years ago. We did a drill where we moved all of the middle school students over to the Milner Center because it was we simulated what it would be like to have to move them and do a relocation drill. And so that's one of the things that we try to do. We have a list from the State Department on things that we need to do to make sure that we're keeping our buildings safe. But also just as important to us is that we are trying to engage our students so that it's my belief you can fortify your buildings, but unless you engage your students to where we're taking care of them mentally and all the things that go with that, then it really doesn't work unless we're doing that. And our schools, I feel like are doing a really good job of that. Our third bucket is to recruit, support, and retain high-quality educators and leaders. One of the things that you'll hear about quite a bit is just making sure that we retain and support our current educators and leaders. Over the course of the last couple of years, we've seen quite a bit of turnover in public education. I'm happy to report that that's beginning to slow down some. I believe part of that is the fact that we've been strategic in some of the things that we've been offering them salary-wise and benefit-wise. But also, I think we're just starting to see a turn back from a time that was very difficult on a lot of schools, a lot of educators. One of the things that we do to try to recruit new teachers into our buildings is we've been hosting a career fair for educators, potential teachers. We actually hosted that last Wednesday and Thursday. We had, I believe it was 24 potential teachers that came to Warren County to interview for potential jobs. And so over 2 days, getting the fact to interview 24 teachers, I think speaks some volumes about when we first started it, we had 10. So I think we are starting to see a turn in that with hopefully more people interested in that. Because again, at the end of the day, we want to make sure every student has a high quality educator and leader in their building. And so the last bucket is to foster true trust and engagement through communication that informs, involves, and inspires. Again, a fancy way of just saying our job is to try to make sure that we're putting out information for our families and our staff and our community to make sure that we ensure that communication is clear, timely, and meaningful. And I think that leads to trust. We want to make sure that we are putting out information when we can to make sure that everybody understands they're on the same page. That's one of the things that we talk about with the cell phones. I think that's helped that transition is that we've been strategic in making sure that we put out communications. A couple of weeks ago, again, we had a fire alarm at the high school at 7:15. So you know what happens at 7:15 when there are fire trucks out and kids standing outside waiting. So we tried to send a message out as quickly as we could to our parents so that they understood what was happening. I think we're doing that much better. We still got some areas to improve on that, but all that to be said, that's a long-winded explanation of a strategic plan, but understand that everything that we are trying to do over the course of the next 5 years are going to try to fit in those 4 buckets. So when we have things that come along to us that are new initiatives, we want to make sure that they're a part of our strategic plan in one of these 4 buckets. And so I use the term Parent Square. If you are involved in the school system, you've seen an increase in the opportunities for communication through Parent Square. That was an expenditure that we chose to make communication easier for our families. We've heard a lot of good feedback on that because you can get text messages or emails or phone calls, which is an improvement over the last few years. And so, again, that's just an example of some of the things that we're trying to do with the strategic plan to make sure we're serving our kids first, our staff, and our community as well as we can. So that's my 10-minute elevator speech on that.
Excellent. Anybody have any questions about the strategic plan?
What was number 2? I wrote down 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah, I can send these to you all. Number 1, focused educational opportunities and outcomes. Number 2 is to enhance student and staff well-being through safe, supportive, and engaging school environments.
Thank you.
I have a question, comment about the 5th one.
4th one?
I think it's the 5th one.
We also have 4.
Okay, the 4th one, the last one.
Okay.
The one that you're talking about communication and transparency and that type of thing. I think you're doing an excellent job with the systems you have communicating with your students, teachers, and parents. What do you feel like you're doing better at in communicating with our community?
Well, I think Parent Square is part of that. I think, we're trying to be active on social media. I think, again, though, we have we have 2 media outlets that are here today, so we try to engage those folks as well. One of those guys has a radio show every morning, and I go on every second Tuesday of the month to try to communicate with those things and try to answer questions around that. And just trying to be available, I think, is the most important thing when we can and when I can answer questions. One of the things that people get very frustrated with about the school system is oftentimes they'll ask questions that we simply can't answer because of privacy or whatever's going on. But again, when you're there and available and try to be willing to answer questions, I think that hopefully leads to some trust. Not always, and I get that. But at the same time, showing up, being available, trying to be out there, I think is really important to improve. We won't always be perfect, but at the same time, I think we're trying to do better.
Well, it just seems like there's a lot of people making comments that that our government is not transparent, and I'm talking about Warren County government, and it is different now because you have to go and find the news. Okay, if it's on social media, you got to go look it up. If you hear it on the radio, then you're riding in your car, and you have to go out to your mailbox and get your newspaper and actually read it. And it's not quite the newspaper that we used to have, but it's harder to find the news than it used to be. But there's a responsibility in individuals because we put it out there, and you got to go looking for it. And I know when you hired Sarah Cantrell, she's obviously doing a very good job because I see things all the time at the school system, out in the community. But I just was wondering if you thought there's anything we could do any better just to really help make it easier to our community to know what's going on.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think certainly it's our job to put that out there, but then there becomes a personal responsibility too of engaging in that process and asking questions. That's exactly the way it should be. And that's why, I think, again, we just have to be available to make sure that we're willing to answer those questions when they're asked. It's incredibly complex. I mean, school communication is incredibly complex because oftentimes the most you know about school is when you went to school. And so it's a lot different now than it was when we went to school. And so when we compare school that our kids are going through to what we went through, it's very, very different. And so that leads to some confusion. I'll just to give you a small example, people always complain to me about math. They don't understand the math these days, and it's changed and how we're teaching it. And I don't understand it all, but that's the reason our teachers are trained in doing that. So again, it's just a small example of how it's different. And so we want to make sure, and that's why that bucket is named foster trust and engagement through communication. And whatever we can do to do that, we want to make sure that our community understands that. Because also what's frustrating is you say it's hard to get the news. Because we're so globally connected, oftentimes people think what's going on in other school systems is going on here in Warren County, when in fact, that's not necessarily always the case. And so again, just always got to be there and be available to answer those and to be able to answer any questions that people have.
The other big topic that's not on here tonight is the contract for the school buses this year. But we all received that, and I know when it comes up tonight on the agenda, he'll address any questions anyone has. But if there's anybody who just has a burning question you want to ask now, did you shake your head no over there?
I got no question. I've already emailed him about it, got the
Okay.
answer back, and I've been talking back and forth with, is it Eco or Echo?
It's eco, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been back and forth with Eco and talked to several people and been back and forth with Bus Shed. And there's probably 2 questions I'll probably ask at during the meeting just to get some clarification. But I mean, besides that, I think we're
Good.
I think I'm fine.
Anybody else? Okay. All right. Is there any other is there a public comment tonight? Back here? No? Okay. If not, if there's not any other business that might come for the committee,
I do got one question. I'll probably email you about it. No teachers have brought this up at the middle school. Because at the basketball games, I just noticed, has there ever been any discussion about the very top?
Yeah.
You know, that's got the one bar,
Yeah.
you probably know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Has there ever been talked about getting that maybe?
Yeah,
fixed or-
we've looked at, that railing is not safe. And so I think there was a plan a few years ago just to enclose the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
But that was met with some opposition too, because it would make that gymnasium pretty boxy if you do that. So we're looking at some options about potentially replacing that railing. Problem is that railing's been there for about, I don't know, my school's pretty old. It's probably been there since it started. So it's difficult to know, but we're going to have to find some way. And that's why they try to limit it during the ball games.
It's
Well, they
always,
won't.
it never fails. You'll have about 4 or 6 parents that let, and I know it's a parent issue, but like there's so many small kids that get very close.
Yeah.
And they have to I've seen one actually have to grab them by the arm.
Yeah.
And if you're not watching that kid's, I mean, that's a fall.
Yeah.
And so I just thought about it past 2 years. I just need to ask.
the railings that are up there on the concrete balcony.
Yeah.
Those railings.
Yes.
Yeah, the very top that goes around the track.
Yeah.
It's just a space. It's just that one bar, and it's just any kid that's tiny can just slip. I know it's a responsibility thing, but I know it could probably come up before, but it's always.
Years ago, when it was the same kind of situation at the Civic Center, and we were always afraid kids were going to fall through it. We just took netting and zip tied it all the way around it until, of course, now it's a much better, new and improved railing system there. But it was scary because kids could crawl through it, and they'd crawl through it and climb down the bleachers.
People can get into it, they're going to.
Oh, anyway, anytime.
That's all I had.
Can I ask a quick question? It's kind of not about tonight, but I've heard discussion once before about maybe a track at the high school. What kind of surfaces are the other counties using at their schools? It's like a rubbery.
It's a synthetic surface, yeah.
What is how is it with the weather elements and stuff outside, how the durability and
Yeah.
stuff?
So it's much better than what we currently have.
Yes.
Just the pavement is not something that's typically something that kids should be running on day to day. So that synthetic surface is made. Now, it will weather, the color will fade, but as far as the typical track, should be about 20 years, I think, 25 years, hopefully in decent shape. But you have to come in and resurface it probably sooner than then. But at the same time, it's just like artificial turf. You know, artificial turf, they say is going to be better, but you know, that artificial turf is going to have to be replaced every 10 or 15 years. So again, I'm not completely certain that that is better, but as far as synthetic track, it's just the same. It's pretty standard across all schools.
Any other comments? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.